Please always consult with your physicians prior to making any changes to your treatment plan. Music is courtesy of Ryan Hamner. Welcome to Living with Scanxiety, the Cancer Podcast, a podcast geared to help you navigate the pediatric cancer world. As a mother of a child who battled a soft tissue sarcoma for over a year, your host, Rosaria Kozar, understands and will help guide you through your journey. She brings the knowledge of experts, families, survivors, and other organizations tied to the pediatric cancer world to your doorstep. Her mission is to inform, support, and promote hope for you and your family.
This is where hope lives. This is where hope thrives. Together as one, we all laugh and we cry.
She found a hospital that had an endowment fund, which means that somebody from years ago or recently had passed away, and they left millions and millions of dollars or trillions of dollars to this hospital for people who have cancer, which means that your treatment gets taken care of for free, your everything you need for that time to heal you is all paid for. And she got into that program. So I was able to assist her and to let her know that there are these resources out there. Yes, you might be from the UK or you can't get past the border back to your home and you have cancer, but there's this program here that's catered to individuals with your certain circumstance or situation. You can still get care. You don't have to die. And she's alive.
Hi, this is Rosaria, and I have with me today Brandi Benson. She's a survivor, 12 years out, and of Ewing sarcoma. And not only that, she's become a huge advocate in the community. And like me, she didn't have access or didn't know about podcasts or any other support systems during that time. So now she's part of that support system. So welcome to the show, Brandi.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk to your listeners and tell my story of hope with your audience.
That's great. I'm so happy to have you here too. And I can't wait to hear more about your story. Why don't we start off at the beginning?
Yes. Okay. So the way I discovered my cancer was in 2008. I was deployed in Iraq, and I had been deployed for about 3 months at the time. And I was experiencing different types of symptoms that I didn't know initially were cancer related. So in December of 2008, I thought that the reason why I was so exhausted and tired and just like lethargic and just really fatigued was because I was in the middle of a war zone. We were literally getting bombed all the time. We were lots of action. I'm away from my family. It's cold in Iraq at this time. And I am away from my family for the very first time. So I thought all of my emotions and anxiety and what I was feeling was attributing to me being so exhausted and tired. And I felt like I had, like, every day, I felt like I drank like 13 million bottles of NyQuil. Like, I was exhausted every day. But I thought it was because I was, the area I was in. So I kind of just pushed it off for a while and didn't really think anything of it. And then in 2009, in January, I had just worked out and did my legs. So I was like stretching, and I pulled up my left leg to my chest. I was laying on the ground, and I saw a little lump like sticking out of my leg. And I really didn't think anything of it because I was in the best shape of my life. I'm 24 years old. I'm very healthy. I'm very active. And cancer never crossed my mind because, all those reasons of being healthy. And I thought people that did get cancer were the ones that were sick, or they had, poor habits, or they were much older. They drank, they smoked, these different things. And then I never knew that you could get cancer anywhere in the body. I thought it was just your stomach or breast cancer or lung cancer or throat cancer or brain cancer, like all the normal ones that I've heard of. So I didn't know you could have cancer in the leg or anywhere in your limbs. I just didn't know that was possible. I didn't know that was a thing. So when I discovered this lump, I kind of just missed it and was like, maybe I pulled a muscle, or maybe it was some sort of like bug bite. Like I had no clue what it was. So I kind of just threw it off for like a little while. And I find out through like the grapevine that if I get quarters in the military, that is, you'll be put on, like, you'll go home, or you're on sick leave, like you get time off. that if I get quarters for this lump in my leg, which is really this strange thing, then I'll be able to sleep and get some rest. So I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to my medic station. I'm going to show them my leg. They're definitely going to be like, hey, you need some rest, get some sleep. Something's wrong with you, sleep it off. So my whole motive of showing my doctor in Iraq was to get some rest. So I go to her, I make an appointment, I show her my leg, and she looks at me like something is very wrong. And I'm thinking, oh, I guess I'm going to get some rest. This is good. Like, I'm going to get some sleep. I'm so tired. Finally going to catch up on my sleep. So she's like pushing on it, prodding on it, moving it around. She's like, does it hurt? How long have you had this? Are there any other lumps like this? And I'm like, it doesn't hurt. I have like no information until like it just kind of like popped out of nowhere. So she's like bringing people in to come look at me, and she's pushing on my leg. They're pushing on my leg. And she's like, okay, well, we're going to send you to Baghdad as soon as possible. And I'm like, okay. She's like, you need to get a CT scan. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, all right. So if I go to Baghdad, that means that I'm going to get more rest, because I'm literally like I'm 86 miles south of Baghdad. So I'm pretty far, and it's going to take some time to get there. I'm going to be in Baghdad for a little while, so I'll get more rest. I'll get more sleep. So in Baghdad, it's the heart of, Iraq. And on this place, it's called a green zone. So there's no bombs. It's like a hospital. So it's safe. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll probably, the floors will be clean. Everything is going to look nice. The bathroom might be a real shower. So I'm like, this is going to be like a vacation. Like, I can't wait to get there. I'll be able to rest and relax and won't have to worry about bombs coming in and hitting us. So I'm just like, this is going to be great. So I get to Baghdad, get my CT scan, and the doctor comes over and he's like, telling me how there's blood flowing in and out of the area. However, he highly suggests that I go to Landstuhl in Germany to get an MRI. And I'm like, well, that means I'll get even more sleep. I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, that's totally fine with me. Like, I would love to go to Germany. Plus, now I'm out of the war zone. So I'm in a whole nother country, which means that I'm like super safe. Like, there's no bombs over there. There's no incoming, nothing. So I'm like, that'll be cool. Then I'll go to Germany. Maybe I'll get a beer or something. I'm just like, I just want to get out of Iraq. I want to go back to normal life. Maybe there's real food that's good. So I'm like, okay, fine. I'm thinking this is like a vacation, seriously not knowing what's in my body at all. So they take me to Germany, get to Germany, and I'm in communications with my mother the entire time. So I'm like bouncing from place to place, talking to her. And I let her know that something's in my leg. I'm not quite sure what it is. I think it's a pulled muscle. And I pulled so many muscles, so I don't know why I thought it was that. I thought maybe I like literally ripped the muscle off the bone. And now there's this like mass here. That doesn't make any sense, but that's what I thought. So I kept telling her I like pulled a muscle and, everything's going to be fine. And she's like, that doesn't sound normal. Something sounds a little odd. Make sure you're asking the right questions. I'm like, yeah, nonchalant. I'm like, everything's going to be fine. And everything's okay. Mom, I'm in Germany. And, I'm just totally oblivious to what's really happening to me. So get to the doctors and they immediately look at my leg and we do the MRI and they say, okay, well, it's a tumor. And I'm like, what? What's a tumor? I've never heard of the word tumor. I've never met anybody with a tumor. I don't even know what it is. So then I'm like looking it up online. I'm like, oh my God, a tumor is a mass that could be cancerous or, not cancerous. So I'm like, oh my God, this is really serious. I'm like, okay, well, like, what are the chances that this knot in my leg is going to be like something dangerous? So I'm looking online and trying to figure out all these, information. I find nothing. And then come back and they tell me that the tumor could be two different types. It could be a Ewing sarcoma or it could be a nerve sheath tumor. And I remember the doctor telling me, let's pray and hope that it's not Ewing sarcoma. And I'm like, okay, like that's the one I don't want to have. So I'm constantly, looking and making sure and reiterating what he was saying, because Ewing sarcoma, I've never heard of that word. So if anybody would say it to me, I would forget it immediately. So I'm like replaying the word back in my head to remember, to go online, to look up this word, and then the nerve sheath tumor. So I looked them both up. They're both really bad. Ewing sarcoma has a really high death rate. It talks about amputating the leg, spreading to the lungs, the spinal cord, the brainstem, and you don't really make it past 5 years. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like things are getting real, right? And then I look up the nerve sheath tumor, and that one seems not as aggressive. It's not as bad, and the rate for living is much higher. So then I realized that these two tumors are cancer, and I'm so scared. I start getting depressed. I start taking tons of Benadryl because every time I'm awake, all I keep thinking about is like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. And I'm going to die. And, I'm this thing in my leg, there's cancer in my leg. Like, how is it going to stay localized? Is it going to spread anywhere? And every thought I think about for about the 2 weeks I'm there, or the week I'm there, it's just constantly about death. So I'm just like taking tons of Benadryl and just sleeping as much as I can. So it's finally time to go to Walter Reed Medical Center. And at the time, that was in Washington, D.C. So I go there, and that's where I'm going to spend the duration of my time, going to get my treatment and, whatever else they're going to propose to me, because I didn't know at the time what it was. But before I leave, the doctors in Landstuhl, they determined that it was a nerve sheath tumor. So I think automatically, okay, like I made it. This is the better cancer. Like everything's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. And that's what they claim that I have. So when I get to Walter Reed, they tell me that I need to do a new biopsy. And this new biopsy is because the old biopsy have old cells, that died off. They have to get new ones and make sure for sure this is the type of cancer I have. So I'm like, okay. So during this time that they're doing these biopsies, the first one they did in Landstuhl, the cancer grew. When you disrupt cancer, it grows. So it's growing even larger, and now it's more painful. And now they have to do another biopsy. So after I get another biopsy in Washington, D.C. at Walter Reed, my legs, the cancer starts growing even bigger. And it's probably the size of a small watermelon, like this big. It's massive. It's so big that I can't even put jeans on anymore on my left leg because it's like protruding. It won't slide in anymore. I can't extend my leg. I can't put pressure on my leg. My feet are going numb because it's pushing on my main artery. And this is my left leg. So everything, I have to walk with it kind of like at an angle and kind of crooked up because I can't put any pressure. So I'm like hobbling, wobbling all over the place. So I finally get there. And my leg, it's grown significantly. It's really, really, really big. And now I know I have cancer. So I'm really trying to be careful with like every movement I do and like where I'm going and what's going on, because I don't want it to, like, in my mind, I'm thinking if like some piece breaks off, it'll like, swim somewhere else and start manifesting somewhere else. So I'm really trying to like, be really cautious of what I'm doing. I don't want the cancer spreading. Strange, but that's how I was feeling. So I finally get to Walter Reed. And we do the biopsy, and they come back and they tell me that it's not a nerve sheath tumor, that it's Ewing sarcoma. And I just remember crying so hard because that's what the doctor said he didn't want me to have. And I'm like, oh my God, this is it. This is how I'm going to die. This is what's going to happen to me. I'm 24 years old. I haven't even accumulated student loan debt. Haven't even finished my degrees. My mom is here, she's going to watch me die there. I was just so distraught, so upset, so sad, so depressed, felt lonely, felt by myself. I felt like nobody really understood what I was going through, because on this ward that I was on, nobody had Ewing sarcoma. Nobody had sarcoma. There was a lot of breast cancers. There was a lot of leukemias and stuff. And I remember lots of cancer patients would come and like to my room and try to talk to me. And I was just like, I don't want to talk to anybody. Like, you guys don't understand what I'm going through. But this was at a time where I really just didn't understand the whole aspect of being there for somebody who's going through this. Because towards the end of my treatment, I was the one approaching new patients and telling them that it was going to be okay. But at first, when I didn't understand the whole concept and what was really happening and how vital that piece was in your treatment plan, I was really standoffish with a lot of cancer patients. Like I did not want to have to do with anything to do with them. I was looking in my future right in the face. Like, this is what's going to be happening to me. And I was so, I just I didn't want to accept it. I was in denial for a really long time. And it was just really scary, like these people, they're coming up to you and they're really sick. And I was sick, but I didn't look sick. I didn't go to chemotherapy yet. I didn't lose my hair yet. So I felt like we were different in a sense. Like, I was just really standoffish for a long time. Well, not a long time, for like at least a good month and a half, until everything started happening. The treatment's going through my body. And I'm like, okay, I understand why everyone's trying to give me advice, and why they're trying to provide themselves and be open and communicate what's going on. Because as soon as the tables turned and I was walking out of the hospital, or I was leaving my treatment and everything was done, every new patient that came in, I was like, listen, everything's going to be all right. Like, don't worry. Like, if you have any questions about anything, let me know. I'm here for you. So I totally understood it after the fact. But while I was going through it in the very beginning, like, I wanted nothing to do with any of that stuff. I was just in a huge, huge portion of denial in that part of my life. But so I did find out that it was Ewing sarcoma. My treatment plan was 5 days of chemotherapy, 8 days off, 5 days of chemo, 8 days off. And I continued that for 10 months. And then at my 6th cycle, I had 17 cycles of chemotherapy. At my 6th month of treatment, I had surgery. And so they removed my adductor muscle, which is a huge portion of my leg. So they took this massive muscle out of my leg, which meant that I couldn't sprint anymore, jump, any of my like agility movements that I used to have, they're all completely gone, because that muscle is not there. So this left leg is significantly weaker than the right. So I had that. And then after that surgery was done, I had to learn how to walk again, had to learn how to like love myself over again, and to accept this new like disabled individual, because I didn't, it was just somebody totally different. You have to learn these new things about yourself. What can you do? What can't you do? What are you good at now? Because I grew up extremely athletic. I played every single sport you can think of. And I was always on varsity, or I played on AAU teams. I played on CYO teams. I played on Olympic developing program teams. Like, I was really, really anything that had to do with physical activities. Like, I just pushed myself to the limit, and I did really well. Now it was different. Now I can't even run. And so this whole identity process of who I am and what I can do and what I'm great at and what I used to be, it was just really hard to juggle that and to really understand the whole concept of this is a new person and I have to like embrace this individual. It was really hard for a long time. I was in denial for years, even after missing this muscle, in my leg. I just had to realize that the old Brandi Benson that I was fighting for in the beginning was gone. This is a new person. And I had to learn how to love this person, how to accept this person. And this entire process of just like rebirthing and rebranding yourself was something that I had to go through. That took many years to accept my new self and to get to where I am at today, because it was very hard, very, very hard. Very hard.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. And for people that are listening, can you offer advice on how to love that new person and appreciate that new person?
Yeah. If you want to live a happy life, if you want to live a life that you feel like you're worthy of having, like, you have to let go. You have to let go of the past. You have to let go of stuff that's not helping you or serving your greatest purpose for now or in the present or in the future. So if holding on to this old individual, this old persona that I thought I had, that's not doing me any good for my future or now. So you have to let go. And if you want to be miserable or unhappy or feel like you're not adequate enough, then you will hold on to the past. But if you want to embrace something new and better, you just have to do it. There's no right or wrong way to do it. There's no perfect timing process. It's like when you are ready, you just have to let go, and you'll know when it's time. You just got to do it. There's no blueprint on how to tell people. Like, it took me years, it took me a long time, and I'm still really struggling with it. But I've gotten better just knowing that our differences and our disabilities or what makes us different. It's great, so it's not, I don't know. That's just what I've learned now, that a lot of people ask me questions like, what happened to your leg? Or sometimes they won't, sometimes they will. And if they do, I'll just explain it to them. And I just have to tell myself that this part of my body went through something horrific and it lived. You lived, and I have my life. Like, I should be sharing that with the world. I should be embracing that. I should be bragging about myself. A lot of people don't make it. I need to embrace and be proud of this part of my body that beat this. Don't feel ashamed of what happened. These scars tell a story. Not everybody has the same story. And I think it's amazing that I was able to live through this. And a lot of people don't make it. I should be. And that's what I was talking to this girl, and her name is Brenna Huckabee, I believe it is. And she was on a Paralympic team. She's, won gold and all that. And she was telling me, you should be proud of your leg. Look at all of the hardship. Look at all the treatment. Look at everything it went through. Wow. And when she said that, I was like, you're right. I'm about to put on these spandex pants and I'm going to the damn gym. I don't care if I have one little itty small leg and a big leg. And if they have a question they want to ask, this is the answer. This is a part of my story. This is a part of my life. You can't hide it and be ashamed of it. This is how I am. I don't want to live in the closet forever,
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And did you come to all of this by yourself, or did you seek out support?
I was kind of, after Brenna said that kind of just sparked something. That was 2 years ago. So that kind of like sparked something in me to be more proud of what happened to my leg and what happened. So like I said, I'm still going through this journey of recovery and self-acceptance, but it's more dominant than it was before. Because before I was a lot more insecure. I'm not as insecure as I was. However, I'm not going to run around in a bathing suit yet. Not yet. Maybe I'll get there someday, but it just takes time. But I've learned that it's a lot of people don't live from this. A lot of people are still ashamed of what they had to go through. And I wish that we could end the stigma of being ashamed of us looking different from each other and just embrace our differences, because at the red carpet events that they have, people spend months, even years, trying to look different, trying to have a different dress, trying to make sure that not somebody has the exact same a garment as you do. And we're like the red carpet every day. We are, we have these amazing differences every day. So I think we need to embrace it and to be more expressive and happy about us being different than being ashamed. Being ashamed.
And how do you show this advocacy within yourself?
So I do different speaking engagements, and my speaking engagement is about overcoming the enemy inside of yourself. And the enemy is adversity. It could be trauma. It could be cancer. It could be a bad relationship, drug addiction, alcoholism, whatever it is that's not allowing you to be the best individual you are yourself, your elite version of yourself. So that's what my platform right now is, just talking about getting over this enemy that's inside of you. Mine was cancer, and sometimes it's, self-esteem, issues and confidence and stuff, but beating that enemy that's not allowing you to be the best version of yourself. So I definitely help other individuals that will come to me, though. Either they'll DM me or inbox me or their message, however they get in contact. And I kind of just tell them, I don't want to say I coach them through anything, but just let them know that, life is different. One, you're never going to be the same anymore because you just experienced this traumatic event in your life, and you need to make a choice. What kind of life is it that you want to live now? And the people that do hit me up, have this one girl, her name is Magna, and she is from New York, I believe. And we've been talking for months, and she's going through her Ewing sarcoma. She had it in her toe. They're amputating it. They're getting it out, doing all these great things. And I'm like, okay, now, the easy part is over. That's the easy part. That easy part is finding out that you had the cancer, going through the treatment, having the surgery, now you have to live this whole completely different life. How are you going to live now? You have to make changes. If you don't want cancer coming back, you don't want to feel this anxiety in your life anymore. Like, you have to make healthy changes. Healthy changes to your diet, to your stress levels. Like, what is it that you are going to be able to figure out that wasn't working before? Now that you have this second chance at life, like, you have to appreciate it, embrace it, and incorporate these new resources and tools into your life to better help yourself and build your immune system back up. So I just really harp on and talk about making big changes, the changes in your life, and then what those changes look like, and how are you going to create this new blueprint for yourself, and making sure you stick to it, because that's the whole thing about survivorship is you have a brand new lifestyle, this whole new perspective on life, on your second chance at life. How are you going to live this? How are you going to do this? How are you going to make sure that your stress level is down, or stress levels are down, or that you're eating the right things? Are you juicing? Are you eating enough fruits and vegetables? Are you eating still candy and junk food? Like, what is it that you're doing differently to help aid in your survivorship so cancer doesn't come and wreak havoc again on you and your family?
Yeah, and that's so well said. I was just thinking too, and you were saying that because you're talking about all these things you have to do after. And the common phrase is, yes, you might be cancer-free, but you're never essentially cured.
Right. That's so true. You're not. And I remember this doctor talking to me, this is years ago. He was asking me, does cancer run in your family? And I'm like, no. He's like, well, now it does. I was like,
oh, wow.
Oh my gosh, you're right. It does. So now I'm the one when they say, does anybody have cancer in your family? Yes, my sister. Yes, my daughter. Yes, my niece. Yes, whoever it is. It's like, yeah, I'm the one who had the cancer, right? And I'm like, oh my God. Well, how are you going to make sure that this doesn't happen anymore? You have to do preventative maintenance on yourself. You need to be working out. You need to listen to your body. You need to be in tune with your body. If you're extremely exhausted and tired and this is not normal, well, maybe something's going on. And like you were talking earlier before about your son, you're touching and prodding and feeling your body. There's a lump there. Well, that lump wasn't there 2 weeks ago. Well, go and get it checked out. Make sure you're advocating for yourself, because of course, doctors, everyone's body responds differently to different things. And just because one person experienced one symptom doesn't mean the next person is going to have the exact same symptom, but they can still have the same underlying issue. If you're not able to communicate to your doctor and be advocating for yourself and aggressive or assertive with what it is that you're trying to find out, and they keep dismissing the issue, you're not going to find out what the problems are or what it was. Like, you need to be able to speak for yourself and to push those issues that you're concerned about, because it's your life at the end of the day.
Exactly. And advocacy for yourself or others is the only way that you're going to be able to survive this and diagnose it. And my next question for you is, you're located in Miami, Florida, which is in the United States. How can people get in touch with you?
So they can go on my Instagram. It is at brandil.benson, or they can email me at Brandi at brandilbenson.com. So either one of those areas there, they can definitely reach out to me. And I am really great with responding and giving advice, or just listening. If you need somebody to listen to what's going on, if you want to talk on the phone, I'm all ears and ideas if you need any of those. I had another friend, not even a friend, but another individual who reached out to me. She was much older. She was 56 years old, and her sister from the UK found me and told me that her sister was sick. She had Ewing sarcoma in her leg, and she was stuck in the United States. I think they were from the UK, and she couldn't get back over because of all the COVID stuff that was happening. So she was stuck in the States, and I think she was in Texas. And the lady was saying how her sister's name was Michelle. The one I was communicating was Michelle. Michelle was telling me how her sister is stuck. She's really sad. She's scared. Is it okay if I call her? She found my story. She just wants some advice about some stuff that's going on. I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, tell her to reach out to me. Let me know what's going on. So I end up talking to her. And so the doctors, so she doesn't have any care here in the States because, she's from the UK. And I'm telling her, well, you know what? You have to see if you can get into some kind of hospital. So she finally finds a hospital. And because she doesn't have medical insurance or whatever the issue was, nobody wanted to help her, right? And I'm like, listen, there are endowment funds all across the United States. They're everywhere. I'm like, they have to help you. They have to provide you some sort of service. I'm like, make sure wherever you're going that you find this hospital that they have an endowment fund. Long story short, she found a hospital that had an endowment fund, which means that somebody from years ago or recently had passed away, and they left millions and millions of dollars or trillions of dollars to this hospital for people who have cancer, which means that your treatment gets taken care of for free. Your everything you need for that time to heal you is all paid for. And she got into that program. So I was able to assist her and to let her know that there are these resources out there. Yes, you might be from the UK or you can't get past the border back to your home and you have cancer, but there's this program here that's catered to individuals with your certain circumstance or situation. You can still get care. You don't have to die. And she's alive. She's alive.
That's great that you were able to help her like that. And she was open to it. Some people get themselves closed off, but if you're listening to this, don't close yourself off, because we've been through it. As a caregiver, I've been through it. And for Brandi, as a fighter, she's been through it. And we can assist you in the resources that are out there. As you know, I've had so many episodes with different resources. But before we wrap up, Brandi, is there anything else you want to tell us about with you, your journey, or anything else you'd like to say?
I think it's just never give up on yourself. Don't give up. Keep pushing. Keep advocating for yourself. And make sure that you are eliminating the stress factors that are in your life when you are sick, because that's extremely important. You want high vibrations. You want positive attitudes. You want to feel happy and secure and laugh. Laughing is like a super great medicine. laughing and being in a state of joy. So that is it. So stay healthy and stay well. Listen to your body.
It's funny that you said about laughing, because I've actually heard that does help the process. There's a book out there about laughing can help the immune system.
Yes, that's what they say.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting that you said that. But thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I'm excited to get this message out to everybody.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me. And I loved it. Would love to come back.
Thank you for tuning in to Living with Scanxiety. Please subscribe to hear more informative discussions like today's. Music is courtesy of Ryan Hamner.